The seven sacred ceremonies, the sun dance is the most serious of all, and this ceremony is done for many reasons. It can be personal reasons. It could be a Thanksgiving, like a person who survived something really, really difficult in their life, and or and got healed. And he may do the ceremony as a Thanksgiving, or or maybe he has a question that is so important that he feels the only way to get the answer is through the ceremony, and so that's why they do it too. Or sometimes people will let's say somebody is has a disease and they're really sick, and their best friend may do this ceremony for them, yeah, because the friend is too sick. So the best friend will step in and say, "Hey, buddy, I'll do this for you," yeah, because that's what best friends do. So he might do it in proxy for somebody else, yeah. So there's lots of reasons for it, and it's very serious. And it's a ceremony. Long time ago, this ceremony used to last 12 days. Okay, it starts 4 days. The first 4 days, the dancers go amongst themselves, and they stay away from the rest of the people, and they go do sweat lodge ceremonies throughout the day, as much as as much as they can handle. And then when it's time to sleep, they go to a certain place. They're always only amongst themselves. See, what they're doing is they're getting into a zone. Yeah, they're tuning out the world, so to speak, and they're going to get into a zone because they're going to go into the, they're going to just do the sun dance on the 5th day of this event. Yeah, so the first 4 days is about getting into that zone. And then the fourth day, they call it Tree Day, and they go. There's a ceremony involved in that too, where they cut a cottonwood tree, and then I'm not going to go into detail. Okay, I'm just going to skim over these real quick. But they select a tree, do a ceremony for it, and cut it down, and then they take it to the Sundance area and put it in the ground. Now, there's already a hole dug that they do, before this event begins. And sometimes people who are not sun dancing, maybe they have a special prayer. Maybe they want to a blessing or something, yeah, or for somebody, and they do what's called this skin offering, and this is really hard. Yeah, they cut a small piece of skin off themselves, and they offer it as sacrifice, because the belief is all we have on this earth is our skin and our flesh and bones. That's all we have, really. Yeah, so we give of ourselves for a blessing, a special answer to something we're wondering about, or maybe we're praying for somebody who's sick. So they might do this. So they put these skin offerings in a leather pouch, and they put it at the bottom of this hole. And then the tree goes on top of that. Then they put the dirt back, cover up this hole and make that tree really sturdy. And then there are certain things that they do, and then the 4th day is over. Then the 5th day begins. This is when the dancers dance inside the arena for 4 days. Yeah, and technically it would be the 7th or 8th day. That's when they pierce. Yeah, and there's several ways they do that. There's several methods that they can choose. They choose one. There's 4 methods, and the dancers choose one out of those 4. And they might get a vision, they might not. It's okay, and they break free. There's ropes tied to this tree that I just talked about, And what they do is they tie, they use eagle claws and they pierce the skin on the chest or the back, or pull. There's certain ways, yeah, and they have to break through that. They have to dance backwards, and so that these things break the skin. And they're doing a sacrifice. Yeah, they're offering themselves. They're offering their blood and flesh. That's really hard to do. So on the third and fourth days, that's what the dancers do. Yeah. Then after that eighth day, and all the dancers have done their thing, then again, they retreat to themselves. Another 4 days. Yeah, the third 4 days. So they stay among themselves, and what they're doing is they're slowly making the transition back to the real world. So the actual dance itself is in the middle. It's 4 days long, yeah, and it's in the middle. But there's 4 days before and 4 days after. The first 4 days are to get into the zone, yeah, and the last 4 days are about coming back to normal, yeah, coming back to the people, you could say, normal way of living, or whatever you want to call it. So that's how that's done. Is that altogether it's 12 days. But today they don't do that anymore. I mean, they do the ceremony, but they don't do it the way I just explained. Instead, what they do is they have the tree day, yeah, and then the following 4 days of the dance. So technically, they only do 5, but anciently they did 12. I mean, they didn't dance all 12 days. It's, again, first 4 days is preparation, getting into the zone, and the second 4 days is the actual dance itself, and then the third 4 days is coming out, coming back to normal. So that's how it used to be done in old times. That's the sun dance. And then you have a crying for vision, where you go on a hill and cry for 4 days and 4 nights, and you pray and see if you get a vision or not. And the vision could give you sacred information about yourself, and information that can help you in your life, so that you can help others. Yeah, that's basically the reason for that. And again, I'm just saying the important parts. Yeah, I'm really scooching through here fast because there's actually more to it than that. But I'm just giving you a general description. And you have to stay up there the whole 4 days. You can't. Even if you get your vision on the first day, you still have to stay up there 4 days. Yeah, you can't just come back when you got it. You have to wait till the 4 days is over. 4 days and 4 nights. So Hambletia, they call that. Yeah? Sundance is called Wiwayang Wachipi. And I just described to you the important parts of Hambletia. Then you have Inipi. This is the sweat lodge ceremony. 4 sessions. Yeah. And that's to cleanse. Yeah, to cleanse the self. Not just the body, but the mind, the emotions, the soul. So inside sweat lodge ceremonies, people, it's okay to cry, yeah, you let it out. And you're cleansing yourself, releasing that energy. Yeah, it's like sweat in a way, you know what I mean? It's some kind of a thing, like emotional sweat or something. You're sweating it out. So when the ceremony's done, you feel all light because it's gone. Yeah, all that energy just left. So that's inipi. And again, that can be done for certain reasons too. It's not just one reason, it's many reasons. So there's 3 of them. Then we have hunka. This is when you adopt somebody. And you just make them a relative. That's it. So if, for example, if I were to hunka President Obama as my brother, he's only my brother. He's not Lakota. How can that be? That's impossible. Yeah? He can only be who he is. But this ceremony makes him my relative. So we become brothers. Yeah. So and again, he doesn't. When a Lakota person does this ceremony to spiritually adopt a non-Lakota person, that does not mean that non-Lakota person magically transforms his DNA into Lakota. It doesn't mean that. See, that's focusing on the outer. Again, that's superficial. That's focusing on the outer part. And what's important is the central, the sacred center. So when you adopt somebody, you're making a relative. That's what hunka means, to make a relative. It doesn't say to make a Lakota. See, and relative in English is not the same as relative in Lakota. You see what I mean? So, but just know it like that, okay? So that's 4 ceremonies. Then you have Ishnat Ha'awichamawampi. This is, like I said, where girls become women. It's a really beautiful ceremony. And this is done overnight, after a girl gets her first menstruation, and they put her inside it. They sit her someplace, and they put a teepee up around her. And all night long, they do this when the sky is red, when the sun just sets. That's a sacred time, when the sky is red. Remember, that represents life, not Indians. It represents life. So after that goes down and it's dark, then this girl stays in this teepee by herself. And all through the night, women relatives are going to come and talk to her. They're going to talk to her about being a woman, and they're going to talk to her about being a mother and a wife in the future. And they're just going to talk about women things, sacred knowledge for women. Yeah. And then when that ceremony is over, she might get her new adult name. The teepee is taken down while she's still sitting. Then they put it back up again, and then they say, "This is your home now. Now it belongs to you. And now it's your teepee." It's this symbolizes taking the teepee down and then putting it up again in the same location. This is symbolizing that she's changed now. Now she's a woman. They put her hair the way women wear their hair, and now she begins her education, as an adult. She's now considered a woman. So that's the 5th ceremony. These are not in order, okay? There's no such thing as which one comes first. They're not in order. They can be in any order. Then we have Nahiguluha. This is when they keep a lock of hair from somebody who died. And they somebody in the Tioshpai, the extended family that everybody trusts, and he's an honorable man. He keeps this in a certain lodge, and keeps it for 1 year so people can come and speak to this as if that person is really there. The reason why is hair has something called tu inside of it. So does blood. Tu is a connection to your soul. It's a spiritual essence. It's connected to your soul. So like, for example, it comes out through your hands too. So when you cook or you make things with your hands, part of you is going in there. So when you make something for your friend, a part of you is going to stay with your friend. See, people knew this, so that's why when somebody received a gift that was made by the other person, it was a very, very emotional experience, because the other person is saying, "I trust you with my life." You see that? So in this Nahigluha, a person, like I said, in the family is chosen to watch over this piece of hair, and so for 1 year, and then the family goes into mourning, and what do you call it? This gives time for relatives and friends to come and talk to this hair, because it's still connected to the soul of the person. So they can, and they also do this to get used to living without that person now. Yeah? It's a really beautiful ceremony. And then after that year is over, then they have the second half of that ceremony where they bring the mourners into a circle, and they take some water and wash rag and a comb. And what they do, certain people are selected to wash the face of the mourners. Yeah? It's time to stop crying now. Yeah? And then they comb their hair, because they used to say when somebody died, you throw your hair over your face and you cry. So at the end of the ceremony, a year later, after this year of mourning, the people will comb the hair of the mourners, and they get the comb wet, and they comb the hair of the mourners back, and then heoka dancers come in. Heoka dancers are men who they get called to become heoka by the lightning. Yeah. And that comes through dreams or something like that. And they're what they do is they do everything backwards, and they talk in opposites, and they really make the simplest things as difficult as possible. And so it ends up being really funny, yeah. And so people laugh, and so when they do these things, and you start to laugh. See, these mourners, they're done now, yeah, with their year of mourning. So when they see these heoka dancers, they start laughing. And see, it's like being born again. That laughter is medicine. So it's cleansing out the system. Yeah? It's cleansing out the system so that they can, come out of mourning and come back into society again. It's a really beautiful ceremony. Yeah? And today, the churches, see, they didn't like this idea of keeping a piece of hair from the dead person. That's the way the Christians say it. So the Christians left that part off, and they said, you can just do that part where you wash their face and comb their hair. So today they call it wiping the tears. And I don't like that, because it leaves off the most important part of the ceremony, the mourning. This is how you heal. Yeah? And like I said at the beginning of the show, in the beginning of the reservation, you remember what I said, is that the churches really didn't want Indians to they said that most of the Lakota beliefs conflicted with the Bible, so that they must come from the devil. And then the parts that fit good with Christianity, they kept those parts. Yeah? So that's why they only kept this wiping the tears part, and they left out the other part. So today, most Lakota people don't even know the full ceremony. All they know is wiping the tears. They realize that there's much more to it than that. And the seventh one would be throwing the ball, Tapa Wankaya. This is a really beautiful ceremony. And this one, it involves the whole community, and they usually pick a girl to throw the ball, a virgin, yeah. And what she does is they paint this ball a certain way, because you have to remember, a long time ago we didn't do beadwork, yeah. So the things were painted, yeah. So this girl would throw the ball up in the air, and then everybody has to. She throws it high up in the air, then she takes off, yeah. And then everybody runs in and tries to catch that ball. And whoever catches it, the first time, they have to go stand at the west. Yeah, they made in the area where they're doing this person stands in the west. The whole community's involved, little kids, adults. Yeah, and then the girl comes and they give her back the ball, and then she throws it up in the air again. Whoever catches it now has to go stand at the north. And they do this again. Yeah, then the person who catches that stands at the east, and one more time they do this, and they oh no, not one more time. There's going to be another one. Yeah, so the fourth one, yeah, goes and stands at the south, and then they start talking. Yeah, and the first one at the west is going to talk about what the west means. Yeah, what does the west symbolize? Yeah, and rebirth, birth, renewal, rejuvenation. They're going to talk about things like that, the mind, stuff like that. And then the person at the well, you know what? There's variations to this. What they might do is, um, you know, after they do the west, then when this girl throws the ball up the second time, whoever catches it goes and, like I said, stands at the north. That's the second direction, and then gives their speech there. What does the north mean? Yeah, and then throwing it up again. Then the person who catches it goes to the east, and then they talk about what does the east mean? What things are symbolized in the east? Yeah, and then again they do that for the south. What does the south symbolizing? Yeah, and they talk about how red represents life, and when we're living a healthy life, our souls are always facing the south. Even when we're walking northwards, our souls are facing the south. It's a symbol showing that we're living a healthy life. That's called the Chankuluta. Yeah, Chankuluta does not mean the Indian way or the Indian road. It's the road of life. Okay? And then they throw the ball up one more time, the fifth time. They say this one is for the buffalo people. Yeah? They throw the ball up, and whoever catches it then talks about the role buffalo play to Lakota people. So they'll talk about how the buffalo and humans are related, that we evolve from the same creature called Pte Oyate. Pte Oyate does not mean buffalo people. Okay, it's just it's a human in form, but it's not human. Yeah, and were made in the center of the earth. I mean, under the earth. And the first group that came out transforms into human. They get in trouble. So the second group comes out to help them, and they turn into buffalo. Yeah. So the leader of the humans got instruction on how, spiritual instruction in the vision on how to hunt these buffalo, but their instruction is incredibly strict. Yeah. The instruction includes that you only take what you need. You only take what you need. And you respect every part of that animal. In other words, you don't cut its head off and hang the head on the wall. Yeah, you don't do that because that's disrespecting the animal. So you try to use every part that you can for something. Yeah. And then you make a vow. First, you apologize to that animal nation for taking one of its members. You apologize, and then you promise to them that you will give something to them. You're giving of yourself to them, and you probably know what that means now. Yeah, when you give of yourself, literally. Yeah. Because I already talked about it. So you give of yourself in thanksgiving to the animal nations. Yeah? And so they're going to talk about these things, the fifth one. Yeah? So this is to remind the people of where we stand in life. Yeah? What is around us, what's inside of us. And this throwing the ball ceremony is really a projection of the definition of Mitakwe Oyasin. Yeah, because these first four, when they talk about these things, they also might talk about the four Wamakashkan groups. Yeah, for example, the people at the west. Whoever catches the ball at the west may talk about the plants and that which moves and grows. Yeah? Then the person who's talking about the north may talk about the four-legged. And then the person at the east, one of his topics might be about the two-leggeds. Incidentally, bears are considered two-leggeds. Yeah, that's really interesting. Then whoever caught the ball for the south direction, he's going to talk about the winged nations. Do you see what I mean? So they're talking about the four basic groups of creation. I mean animals, which includes plants. I mean plants and animals. Animals, which include plants. Plants and animals, I meant to say. And that's why the fifth time is for the buffalo. Because you see, the way we got this ceremony is that people saw some buffalo really raising dust somewhere in the dry prairie. And when they went close to watch them, they realized that these buffalo they had a ball. And they were trying to pick it up, but they couldn't because they have hoofs. So they told this to the people. And so the holy man said, we must do this for the buffalo people. Because they nurture us, they give us our homes, our clothes, our food, everything. So we must do this for them. They can't throw it, so we have to throw it for them. And then they talk about the various things that these directions mean. Then, like I said, at the end, whoever catches that talks about the importance of the buffalo people in comparison to Lakota people. Like I said, the story is told of how humans came and how buffalo came, and the buffalo came to save the humans, and things like that. It's really a beautiful ceremony. So after all of this happens, people really feel good, because they talked about these things. They reminded each other of the importance, the sacredness of all life, that nothing is more important than the other, that we all play a role, that we are all blessings, and we all have talents, and we use them in our role on this earth to influence peace, to influence healthy living. That's why it's important to go inside your sacred center and establish that, so you can do this. Yeah. So that's Tapa Wangayap, and they might have a feast after that. Yeah. The person who caught the fifth time, the person who caught that will sponsor a buffalo hunt. And like I said, you only take what you need. You apologize and you give back of yourself. You do like a funeral for it. Because it's a sacred thing. It's the heart. Yeah. So that person may sponsor a buffalo hunt it's going to be time for a feast. And all of this to make people feel good. Yeah. That's really beautiful. These are the 7 sacred ceremonies. Lowampi and Uipi come from Iktomi, and they serve a different purpose. They're not part of the 7, but they do help people in a very extraordinary way. Yeah, that's Uipi and Lowampi, the sacred ceremonies. And you can, receive healing. You can find things and people who you haven't heard from in a long time. Yes, it's really beautiful, things like that. Then these are Iktomi stories. They're not part of the 7. And the truth is there was no marriage ceremony. Because people change. So they basically said, okay, this couple wants to get married, and anybody has something, they can share about what marriage means, stuff like that, and they'll talk about that. Then they're going to talk about that word mahasani. It's a very sacred term that partners call each other. Yeah, they're my one and only kind of thing. So it's beautiful. Yeah, that's how this works. And anywho, just some brief information about these ceremonies. And women had theirs. Yeah, when the moon is full, women have a ceremony. that they do at night. They go out, and because that's when they see the moon. Yeah. So there's a ceremony that women do for that, and acknowledging their special relationship to the sisterhood of the earth and the moon. It's a really beautiful ceremony. It reminds everybody where their place in life stands, where their place in the universe is located. That's beautiful. Anyway, that's just a real short discussion about all these ceremonies and which are part of the Sacred Seven and which are not. Okay? So, time is more than ever is to, go within yourself to establish your sacred center. And sometimes you can call that the seventh direction. The reason why it's called the seventh direction is because it's in the center of everything. You have your four directions, the beginning at the west, then to the north, then to the east, and to the south. Those are the first four directions. Then number 5 and number 6 can switch around. Number 5, you could say, is the sky or above, which is represented by blue. And then the 6th could be the earth, which is represented by green. And then 7th is you, where your sacred center is inside of you, where your body, your mind, and your soul connect. That is the 7th direction. And we all have that. Yeah. The first 4 colors, the first 4 directions, the Lakota Star Knowledge version, you heard me say it earlier, and I'll say it again. West is black, north is white, east is yellow, and south is red. Yeah? And these do not represent skin colors. They do not represent races. When you hear information like the Red Road, this is not talking about the Indian way. That's talking about the road to life. It's focusing on blood. Yeah, we did not call ourselves red people. Christopher Columbus called us red people, but we didn't call ourselves red people. We called ourselves, in the beginning, Ikche Oyate. This is a human being, a human nation. Yeah, and we saw the color red as referring to blood, which means life, birth, renewal. Yeah, or more so life. Yeah, so the Chankuluta, that's the road of life, the road of healthy living. And there are teachings that say it goes to the south, which means the direction south is red. Yeah, that's from Lakota Star Knowledge. So those are the first 4. Yeah, the medicine wheel is like that. So you see the medicine wheel on my website, on my show page, this Lakota Heart and Soul show page. You're going to see a picture there of a medicine wheel, and you see the colors the way I described them. This is the Lakota Star Knowledge order of the colors. And then again, the sky above is represented by blue, and the earth is represented by green, and inside of you, no color, no race, no language. This is the 7th direction. This is your sacred center. Yeah, this is where reality begins.